we're at it. So today we've got with us Ed and Nick, the two people that look after all the white label and private label for Taylor Mammon.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've touched base on this, but if you could explain white label, private label to Joe Bloggs, who hasn't got the foggiest, what would you say?
So white label itself is taking a product that we've created off the shelf and relabeling it with their own design. We've taken it through all the testing that's needed for that product, so it's an easy route to market for companies.
Amazing.
In terms of private label, within that scope, we can create something unique for the client. Either take our white label and modify it, or create something completely bespoke.
And look, obviously we get loads of people coming through the door. What's if you were to split the ratio of white label to private label? Like, what does Taylor Mammon do?
I mean, we say white label, but almost, I would say 90% of the calls that we get are people who have seen the white label. Oh, can you add this? Can we change this? Can we add this? And happy to do that. It just, anything that goes outside of the spectrum of white label kind of becomes private label at that point. So it happens a lot, but more often than not, we use the white label as a menu for clients to give them a good understanding of MOQs and pricing. And a lot of people don't know that much about white label. What is it? What can you offer? So it's as much as, educating the public about, CBD as it is about white label, as it is about the whole process and timelines and all that. So,
and look, the big question, like, what is the process? Like, I want to come up with a brand.
Yeah.
I've got this great idea.
Yeah.
What happens next?
How long is a piece of string? It's like
you give us your brief, and then we come back to you with some realistic opinion on how and what we can achieve.
Yeah.
There are certain products within the white label catalogue that are easily modifiable, so it does become unique to the client, such as tinctures, etc. Cosmetics is a lot more difficult. There is slight bespoke elements we can modify to it within a certain parameter to satisfy CPSR. But yeah, it just depends what the client wants, what their goals are, what their target is.
Yeah, I mean, for this new industry, I mean, it's really about educating the customer. It's about showing them all the different product formats, that they can have quickly. But people people contact us at Taylor Mammon and they've already got their idea of the product that they want. And can you do that for us, And
in 1 week.
In a week, under budget.
I guess is that the biggest issue that we're having to overcome is timelines.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people want a CBD cosmetic and don't realise that there is a full compliance process that needs to be taken care of for those products. You can't just simply make a CBD face mask, for example. It needs to go through testing, etc. And then we need to manage that process, and it can take between 4 and 6 months.
Which is fast. I mean, one thing that I didn't know coming into this, I knew, I'll be absolutely honest, I knew next to nothing about cosmetics. I mean, I'm a 30-year-old, white guy from California. I don't really know that much about moisturizing. So I didn't realize that it takes, on average, like 9 months to a year from idea conceptualization of a cosmetic product to having it in your final product in your hand. So I was under the impression, we can get this done in a month. Absolutely. And then very quickly through trial and error, I guess and check, realized, there's a lot of testing, a lot of regulation, a lot of compliance, as there should be for something that you're putting on your skin. And so it's managing expectations whilst delivering at the same time. So,
and that's why we've created the white label cosmetics as they are. It's got a nice broad range of products across the cosmetic field. We've chosen good blends for them. They are excellent cosmetics that are fully certified. So it gives the consumer, if they're looking to get something quick to market, they have something there ready made. If they're looking for a long-term project, then we can go bespoke with them.
And look, we're talking about cosmetics. I know we can break this down into like subcategories of product types.
Yeah.
So let's stick on cosmetics.
Okay.
What was the testing that you just said?
CPSR.
CPSR. Like, if you were to talk about the compliance and you talk white label, I'm just going to throw a few things that I took out of it, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong. Yeah. Like the white label thing. So if one ingredient gets changed, even if it's a certified white label, it's back in testing.
Yes.
There is no like.
There are the industry itself, and what we found with a lot of cosmetic testing houses, there is some variance and answers you get from these testing houses. Ultimately, you kind of have got a 1% pliability with that product. Right. So if there is a 1% change, they will run through that ingredient through toxicology, etc., depending what it is, and then you can probably fast track it slightly. But the thing that takes the time is the stability testing. So it takes a minimum of 3 months for that product to be tested on human skin. So there's a process where, and also the product itself, degradation within the container that it's stored in. So that's the thing that takes time. Toxicology can be done quite quickly because they know the elements. We have the certificate of authenticity for the product, the source of the product, and there is data in the industry. These testing houses have past data. They know how that product performs and what it can and can't do.
Okay. Then what about variance in source ingredient? How does that go?
Well, the CBD itself is a minute element. If it's 1,000 milligrams in a 100 ml vessel, it is at 1% already. So they will check the certificate of authenticity for the raw material, but ultimately you can replace that product with a like-for-like product within there. So then in the same vein, if it's an essential oil that creates an aroma, you can change out that aroma to change the aroma slightly without having to go through the CPSR.
Okay. So there's a little bit
of leeway.
Bit of wiggle room.
A bit of wiggle room.
Yeah.
Depending what testing house you're talking to.
Exactly.
Are there nuances of this?
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why people come to you, right? Like,
we work it out for them. And we get it done for them. We give them samples, testing, whatever we can do. And we make sure that they've got a fully regulated product on the EU portal for sale. And we've done all the groundwork for them.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of it.
Basically a turnkey 360,
there
all-encompassing.
There you go.
We do it all.
Yeah, exactly that.
Exactly. Right, so that's the cosmetic side. We look at like tincture world / like edibles. Would we bundle them together, I would assume?
Yeah, they're edibles. Tinctures are edibles.
So how does that work in terms of the process? And I'm really interested in the compliance side because I guess that's the bit that people don't consider. Like I can come running to you, go, look, I want a multivit tincture that does this, that, and the other. And you're like, yeah, we can knock that up. But the other world of it, the actual, I guess, the project of it.
Yeah.
Well, you're in conversations this morning about a new product with nutrients and vitamins in it. So
So a good example would be a product I'm working on right now, which is like an energy tincture. And so it's combining two molecules, caffeine and CBD together that haven't really been seen before except in, coffee CBDs. So caffeine's natural into the coffee. So it's adding a new element into the tinctures. And it's trying to get the right, not to be too granular and too into the scientific weeds, but it's getting the right milligram dosage of caffeine with CBD. And so
per portion size.
Exactly. And so that will range, the company I'm working with, they've delineated that the right dosage is half a pipette or 0.5 ml. So, okay, if that's the dosage, how do we get enough caffeine in, a half a teaspoon of liquid to make it feel effective in the human body? Without overdoing it. And then you extrapolate that out to the whole bottle. How much caffeine is in a 30 ml now? Well, it's like 4,500 milligrams of caffeine.
What's a normal espresso shot?
A normal espresso shot is anywhere from 75 to 100 milligrams.
So you're literally
so if you put 4.5 grams 4,500 milligrams into a 30 ml. I mean, if you drink that thing, you're in the hospital because you're going to have what you had with the atrial fibrillation. Your heart's going to
get
just
your AFib.
Exactly. So it's taking on the client's requests that we want this, we want that, and then you do just a little bit of research and quickly realize, okay, we got to manage the dosage, manage the expectations, and have the necessary health warnings on the side to make it compliant in the market. So it's all one request from a customer will explode out into 50 different questions that we have to find the question and then we have to answer it ourselves. But it's interesting for me because caffeine and CBD together, it's like, okay, well, does that even work? That kind of seems redundant in its form factor by, CBD is supposed to mellow you out and stop with anxiety, and now you're adding caffeine into it. It's like, well, what's that really doing? And then you do a little bit of research, and it's having a caffeine, energy rush without the jitters or the anxiety afterwards. I mean, I'll absolutely admit there are days when I have a cup of coffee and I don't feel any more awake, but I do have to go to the bathroom, and I am anxious as all hell. So I'm like, I don't know what this cup of coffee did for me, but all I'm feeling is the negative side effects of coffee and caffeine. So I think it'll be an interesting way to have CBD and caffeine together, where it's, a nice way to feel awake, but knowing that there's not like, a room of anxiety waiting for you once the caffeine wears off.
I guess the big thing to take is that actually when both of you look at products, like for a client, whether it's something in the catalogue or something they want to add to something in the catalogue, like there is other effects that we've got to take into account.
Of course.
And I think that's the bit that's all well and good, like slap turmeric in with it, great, or slap ginger in with it, great, but what
values do you have to have in there? With vitamins, for example, you mentioned vitamins at the start. There's a percentage of the RDA, recommended daily allowance, of that vitamin that you need to have in each dose of the product to be able to make a valid claim as per the EU Register of Claims. So you've got to work it out. And then also the form factor of that product, the vitamin, the caffeine, so that it is oil soluble and or sits well within the oil structure. Otherwise, you're having sediment at the bottom of your bottle. Yes, you can shake well before use, but it's just about understanding how it will perform. It's all well and good asking for something in a product, but at the end of the day, if it doesn't sit well and it doesn't taste right, then there's no point.
Let's just dig on this EU register, because I don't think a lot of people know about it.
Yeah.
Like this portal that basically says any ingredient and what you can or can't say about it. Yeah. It's not a medicinal claim, but like a benefit.
No, it's a benefit claim. So it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages long. Find the product you're looking to add, and it will have literally lines of text stating what exactly you can say about that ingredient. And that's what customers are looking at to give themselves a little bit of standout from the crowd. They're wanting to add the vitamin A, the vitamin D, the vitamin B, whatever the case may be, and then they can say this product does X, because as we all know, you can't make claims about CBD. So they're looking for an ancillary product to be able to make a claim for their product.
It was funny, I was speaking to someone recently about, and goes back to cosmetics and how people buy into it so quickly. Is like, you put one ingredient in that goes anti-aging, and legitimately you can say anti-aging, and they won't even go to donkeys. And it's funny how quickly people are jumping on those bandwagons.
But there's a lot of buzzword ingredients over the last few years. CBD being one of them right now. But yeah, it's about latching onto that ingredient and making the claims that you can.
Sure.
Look, for me, I guess the question that I really want to go into is, what are the steps we do, or Taylor Mammon does? I say we royally.
Yeah,
the royal.
I'm sitting in your office.
Royal we.
The royal we. What are the steps we do in terms of ensuring a product's right? I think one of the big things that Taylor Mammon stand for is doing it correctly.
Yeah, and also, I suppose when the phone rings or an email comes through or we contact a client, there's a bit of due diligence that occurs first, which is understanding what the client's trying to achieve. Because they can pull out the white label catalogue and select 10 products, and we put it into manufacturing, get it into production, label up, box up, and get it out to the client. But that's not necessarily the best thing for them. So we kind of drill down with them and understand what they're trying to achieve, what their market is, looking premium, more mid-range, whether they're looking to go into supermarkets, whether they're looking to go online, and understand what they're trying to achieve before then. They might have a very clear idea as to what they want, but it might not necessarily be right for them. So we don't say to them, you've got it all wrong, but we say, well, actually, have you thought of this, have you thought of this, and have you thought of this? Yeah, it might take more time with that client, but for us, it's about getting the right product for them and beginning them on the journey of CBD, and us potentially being their partner going forward as well. So it makes more sense for us to get them completely on board with what they're trying to achieve with us, then we can work down the route with them. That's very important for us. Do you not agree?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really about managing expectations, because people will assume that we can make anything for them at any dosage, but you really want to let them know from the beginning, if you put this ingredient in it, that dosage, that's going to cause you headaches down the road. It feels like, a lot of what we do is headache mediation, we're just protecting both our own mental sanctity as well as our clients, because they don't know what they're asking for. And it's just, helping, it's putting not bookends on it, but it's, guiding them down a river of how we can make these products so that we know what the end goal is for them. They just want to get their compliant products out into the market and see what customers think about them. We get clients coming up to us every day, and they've developed their hypothesis. We think that this is what I really want to do, what I think this product will work. And I always say to them, it's like, that's wonderful, that's great, we'll do that. Have you tested it out on your customers? Because that's the only opinion that matters at the end of the day, is what do your customers think? You could have, a white paper with your thoughts and like almost like a CBD manifesto of how you're building your brand and how you're building your company. And there's a lot of work that went into it, but almost none in either, market research or what customers want. And very well easily that product will fall flat on its face because the only opinion that matters at the end of the day is the customers. So it's, I think Nick and I have a very unique insight into the CBD industry because we, I won't make it sound like, we're bigger than we are, but we've helped build so many startup businesses over the last 18 months, if not more, of companies who have product SKUs and want to add a whole new range of products, or completely new companies blank slate, heard about CBD. What does it do? Okay. Well, we've got, this budget and we want to do it. And so it's really, we are brought into, it feels quite welcoming because we're brought into companies at a ground level. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
And as a partner, I suppose,
on
some levels.
Well, I guess a lot of your time is spent consulting as opposed to actually facilitating, right? Let's be honest, if I came to you tomorrow and said, I need 10,000 tinctures, you'll be like, great, done.
Phenomenal.
Like, we can do that. Like,
but then I know that it's probably, being realistic, it's probably 3 weeks off before we actually press the button, once we've had the proper conversations to ascertain exactly what you want.
Yeah, but that is the point, right? Is that 3 weeks?
We're spending the time.
Yeah, it's the fundamental
But
bit.
for us, it's important, as I said to you before, it's important we get it right first time for those clients. So they're super happy with what they've got, and we believe with them as well that it's going to work. Yeah, I think sometimes the client that knows a lot about CBD can sometimes be the more challenging task, because they're trying to produce something that might be a year ahead of its time in the market. So it's about kind of giving them a bit of understanding that, you're looking at CBG as a product right now, but who in the UK knows about CBG? The average consumer on the high street, if you go and ask 1,000, you'll have 2 or 3 that will know what CBG is. And they're the heavy users of CBD, or have known about it for years and years and years. So it's about, sometimes they're trying to become too unique. So it's just bringing down their expectations slightly and say, bring that in at phase 3, bring that in at phase 2, launch with this, get your traction, get your understanding of your brand, get people aware of it, repurchasing, then add other elements to it.
And look, we're talking about the output, but obviously there's source ingredients, there's ensuring the quality of the stuff we put into the product. Yeah. Like, what are we doing for that? Like, where's a hell of a lot of due diligence over the last 2 years.
Yeah, the white label catalogue for cosmetics took us over a year to create, bring to the table as such. That wasn't a 1-minute conversation. That was a long time sitting there discussing what the products would be, the ingredients we were going to use, why we were going to be using the ingredients. So it takes a lot of time. Our supply chain constantly evolves, not so much with our oils. We've now got 3 or 4 main suppliers that we use that we're confident are going through the novel food application process, and we trust in them. We know their certificates are excellent, their product is right. And the same with all the ingredients we use, in terms of even down to the MCT and the hemp seed oil. We use very large production houses that make high quality raw ingredients. So we can basically put our hand on the heart and say, we're using the best of the best, or we're using a very high quality ingredient. That's what it's all about. It's about having every single component the best it can be.
And you must have had private labels coming to you going, no, I've got my guy.
Exactly, yeah. And, private label, white label, we'll have clients come up to us who have already sourced their CBD oil, or they have a guy in the States, or they have someone in Spain. And my answer is always happy to use them. Absolutely. Show me the COA, show me the documents, show me X, Y, and Z. Because all that is a filter. It just weeds out, growers or extraction companies that aren't compliant at the moment. And so there's no point going through that whole process of sourcing it to create a final product that you wouldn't be able to put on the retail shelves.
Although you say that, and in some instances we'll say, okay, fine, and that's on a disclaimer that they've supplied their ingredients.
That's the risk assessment.
That's the risk, correct.
So they'll actually sign off to say that it's not your source.
They're not using the oils from our source, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we can, ultimately, as a company, if someone wants to send in all their raw materials, all their bottles, labels, boxes, just wants us to literally infuse it in our lab and then bottle it, we'll do it. But they if there's any recourse on that product outside the actual manufacturing process, then it's their liability.
Yeah.
But we're open to that. A lot of customers do send us in their own bottles because they've got unique requirements that we've got excellent supply chain, but it's not necessarily always what they want.
Yeah, some people have, created their hypothesis and they have their brand and their business and they need to use this CBD oil and this is the one that they want with the right terpene profile and all that. And I get it. I absolutely get it. So as long as we, at the beginning, at the onset, manage their expectations and say, cool, due to the market that you're moving into, these are the risks. This is where we have to draw a line in the sand on manufacturing. If you're happy to assume this risk, we'll absolutely use these products. But we do kind of pride ourselves on the traceability and sustainability that we've already built in-house. And, I would say 95, if not 100% of the time, people read the COAs, they see the documents of how we go through our supply chain management, and that ticks all the boxes. So, from the beginning, we use a CBD distillate that has, no herbicide, pesticide, insecticide. We only work with growers who can show full COAs, affirmation documents.
Seed to send traceability.
That traceability is a big factor.
Of course,
isn't it?
100%.
Exactly.
And that's where, again, we've done our due diligence over years to get to the point where we know that supply chain is what it is. Because there's a fair amount of smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
There's always, we've been at the trade shows and the price of distillate might have been £7,000-8,000 at the time, and someone's got some here for £2,000 a kilo.
Right, you got to question
in their bag.
No, here it is. It looks white. Like, okay,
yeah, great.
I'll trust you then.
Yeah, I know.
Interesting. This one a little bit lighter, and I know you might not be able to say names because we've got brands that we work for that are secretive. But is there a product, a white label or private label product that you've either of you made over the last 18, 24, however long?
Yeah.
That is like that's the one that I'm proudest of, and it might not be out yet.
Yeah, no, I get what you're listen. No. I think bottom line, we take pride in all the products we make. Listen, I'm proud of all the products we create for these clients.
Proud of all my children.
Exactly.
Are they children?
I love all my children.
Are they all children to you?
But I think because we make our products to the best of our ability with, in our eyes, the best ingredients that we could possibly use, every person's product we've made is excellent quality. So then it becomes the differentiation between their branding that makes them stand out in the crowd. So all the products we make to the best of it. Just because it's Joe Blogg's corner shop round the corner that wants 100 bottles of tincture, he's not going to get any less of a job than the products that are looking to list in multinational high street stores across the UK. So there's I suppose, going back to your exact question, I suppose where we've utilised certain vitamins for clients and gone through the whole process of being able to make the claims is quite satisfying, because the process took a long time. I didn't understand that process personally, but obviously I delved into it, and now I know. Now we've got consultants that work for us as well that give us further guidance. But understanding that, to be able to give that remit to a client when they're asking about that is great. It's good fun. It's an experience thing. Once you've done one project for one person, someone comes back with a similar question for their range, when you've got the answers at hand.
Yeah,
it's a constant addition to knowledge, day in, day out.
And the only way you learn it is by doing it. I mean, yeah, you couldn't teach.
It's a far infantile industry.
Yeah, you could absolutely teach what we're doing in a classroom, but the actual practicalities and the day-to-day of it fluctuates so greatly.
Yeah, if you had your flow chart, if they say yes, go to 2 and no, go to 3,
right,
you'd have it at the size of this room.
I know, it would take up this whole table.
Off everywhere.
Yeah.
There's no set methodology to a client request.
Well, I mean, that's just the age of the industry, right?
Yeah, correct.
Everything,
correct.
Yeah.
And also the way the industry is going with new products, etc. It's just everything has got its own bespoke nature.
But I guess that's the beauty.
Yeah, 100%.
Because every
no day is the same.
Yeah, no day is the same. Every new inquiry that comes in is, sometimes it just takes me back. It's like, oh yeah, I haven't thought about that. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could infuse a CBD into a kinesiology tape.
I have no idea what that means.
I know. When someone said that to me, I was like, what is... Oh, it's the tape that, you see rugby players with on their knees. That's kinesiology tape. So some kid called me up one day. He was like, yeah, thought about putting CBD into that. I was like, I hadn't even thought of that product. That sounds like a brilliant idea.
But yeah, we can try it.
But absolutely, we can do it. Yeah. And then it's that
it doesn't seem that complicated. It's like topical.
No, exactly.
But it's that.
But then
classic,
you do question, why don't you just rub it on first?
Yeah, I know.
But
no, it's got to be in a tape. But I think everybody here has that mentality of like an entrepreneur of like, no matter what the question is, the answer is always yes. And then going behind the curtain like, I don't know how to do that yet. Do you guys know how to do that? It's like, no, but let's figure it out.
Yeah, but I guess that's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I love.
A couple more things that I wanted to ask about. I guess, both of you are very versed in, taking brands to market, for other people as much as anything.
Yeah.
The industry is, yes, as we said, like very young, still learning, lack of proper regulation, I would argue.
Yeah.
I mean, A, what can we do? B, has that limited the reach? Has that tied our hands in what we're capable of?
I think the novel food kind of thing in the sand right now, which is next March when the deadline occurs, I think that's going to open up the audience for a lot of people, because I think a lot more companies, big high street retailers that are a bit skeptical of CBD or a bit concerned about going into a slightly grey area, that will open the door wide, and that will move us forward a lot quicker. I think the compliance, we've had discussions over the last 6 weeks with a couple of testing houses we use, and we've had them converse with each other to synchronise their testing methodology, because we were getting reports back from one company giving us a certain element of CBD content and one coming back slightly different. Put their heads together, and it was down to things like magnesium and creating spikes in testings.
I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole of what ingredients show up as in lab CBD reports as false positives. That happens.
So we've kind of had conversations with testing houses. So I think it's about everyone being on the same page. All the testing houses having a certain level of testing or a methodology. And then going back to novel food, once that's clean and through, then it's kind of, this is a legal product, completely legal. It's not grey, it's completely legal.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a lot of different people looking at the market, and then it'll get more exposure, and then it will grow quicker. So right now it's growing at a good rate of knots, but I think come next March, I think that will just open the floodgates and things will start surging.
Well, I mean, like limitations in marketing, there's so
Correct.
many. I mean, I know we're doing another one of these deep dives on like financial support, and the lack thereof. There's so many areas.
Payment providers, you can talk about that for hours.
I have.
Yeah, correct. But it's all coming to a point now. Everything's kind of been a big wide scope, and it's now funneling in. And it's going to get to a point where it's ticked off. These are your guys to talk to. Everyone's comfortable doing it. Yeah. We had issues with Ignite last year where they were using a payment provider who said, right, we've now been suspended on your sales because they're too high, and you haven't got a mix of merchandise on your site. So it went offline for 2 days whilst they added up merchandise, then it went back on, and it was fine. It just ticked a box for somebody. But come next year, there's going to be saying that, the merchant providers are now kind of more in line anyway right now. But it's got to the point where it's taken a year for them to be comfortable allowing it. There are still, obviously PayPal won't go near it.
PayPal, Stripe, most of the big players don't.
Yeah, but then look at PayPal with and eBay, for example, with electronic cigarettes. For years and years and years it was banned, and then they realised it was a massive revenue stream and they turned it back on and allowed it all.
Suddenly the money started rolling.
Correct. And I think with CBD, once it's gone through novel food, I think everyone will be okay, fine, it's just a normal everyday product to add to the categories.
I agree, and I think, I don't want to harp too much on novel food, but I think it will clear out a lot of the extraneous,
of course
irregular.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a cheap process.
No.
So the big companies that are spending the money to take their raw material through, which is a genuine raw material, great. And then it will narrow down the choice, which is fine. And then whether the price slightly increases at that point or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I mean, over the last 12, 18 months, price has been dropping and dropping and dropping. And that's probably more to the fact that a lot of manufacturers have got into the supply chain business and they've got more supply than demand currently. So that will level out. Prices will level out. Yeah. It'll become more of a straightforward process supply. Amazing.
And finally, I guess, as the experts of this side of the business, if there was some advice, 3 things from either of you or both of you that you would or request of someone that was going to get in touch, that you're like, be ready with this, this, and this. Like these are the fundamentals you got to start with. I know you love your hypothesis and like your idea,
right?
But I guess dig a bit deeper in terms of like, what is it? What are the 3 things that or 5 things, whatever that number is, that you need to dig out of a client initially when you first kind of have the conversation?
I mean, for me, it's exactly that. What have your customers said? That's what it comes to.
Who are your customers?
Who are your customers? Who are you selling to? I always like to ask that because that question quickly filters a lot of other questions out. It's the one question that makes me not have to answer 10 others because there's so much work that goes into that. So
where do you want to be in a year's time? Where do you see this business growing? Where's your range going? Just getting that handle on what they're trying to achieve. Also, no question is too stupid. The amount of times people tell me, I know this might sound like a stupid question, but just ask the question. Just ask the question.
We've heard it. We've heard it so many times.
I know, but you're so right in that, because especially in a space which hasn't got years of understanding.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, there is thousands of years of understanding that's all been pissed up the wall. Excuse my French, but like there isn't this like, I guess, all singing, dancing like person that can go, this is the answer to that question.
There's no manual. There is no
manual. I mean, you said it recently. Where you went, well, you can find the answer to any question, whichever way you want to find it.
On the internet. The internet will provide whatever your inherent bias already is.
Exactly.
It's true. It's true.
So, Nick and I get treated like walking Googles, but we try to have our own opinions on it without, imparting that onto the client,
which is difficult sometimes.
Yeah, because we want to help guide the company, but there are just certain inherent facts about CBD that are just always going to be true. So it's up to us to express those and say it to the customer. But yeah, there's so many different, options out there to get your information from. We just hope that, we can be a valid source of that for the customer. So
nice. Well, gents, is there anything else you wanted to add about this wonderful world that is like white label servicing? And
no, listen, it's just a lot of fun. I think the fact that people are coming to us with very differing views and ideas.
I mean, let me put this in perspective.
Yeah.
We've and you've told me about these. Like the wildest products, in my opinion, wild as well.
Yeah.
Lube, that's coming thick and fast. Yeah. Excuse the pun.
Yeah. Hopefully not too thick.
There's so many things that like I'm hearing,
Yeah, and I think for us as a business, we also need to understand that things we've R&D'd over the last couple of years and bringing to market now, the products we made 2 years ago are still unique. And we forget that sometimes. There's still products that we've done, like the lip balm and the bath bomb, phenomenal products. Because we did it 2 years ago, it's like, we're on to the next thing, we're on to the next thing, on to the next thing. So the fact is our catalogue has got a wide range of excellent products. The consumer then needs to decide what target market they're hitting, what price point they're hitting, and then we'll give them the ideas. We'll guide them down that journey with them.
Yeah, and actually it's funny that you say that, because the catalogue itself, like, there's nothing wrong with reskinning a product that is
100% not. If you look at the cosmetic industry as a whole, and the medicinal industry as a whole. There are many products in many different stores that are exactly the same SKU number, but just dressed differently. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because then you're honing in on your marketing skill, which is what it's all about. I mean, you go into a convenience store around the corner, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Asda, they've all got the same food element, just skinned differently. So they're doing their price point and their marketing, and that's what they're doing. Everyone in every store sells something very similar. It's just how you sell it. It's your customer service, your marketing skills. So yeah, there's no harm in doing it. People shouldn't get hung up on the fact that
we need to be different.
We need to be different, because sometimes you're being different for different sake, and it's taking you too long to get to market, and you waste all your time, and you lose your market. But yeah.
Well, look, gents, thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Like, both Ed and Nick are available via email. I'm sure they're more than happy to take loads and loads more Google-esque questions.
Absolutely.
I'll introduce you to our website. It's called Can I Google That For You?
Yeah, exactly.
It's brilliant. I love it. The amount of times I've used that and sent them the link on this one.
Try that.
But simultaneously, I know that both of you really enjoy helping anyway and getting those brands to market.
Definitely.
If anyone is interested, I'm sure that you're both more than open.
100%.
The capacity is there for you to take on more.
Of course.
Always around.
We can argue that for a bit.
No, it's always good.
But look, again, thank you so much for the time.
Sure.
I will leave you to it and just get out of it.
Excellent. Thank you.